What is good, y'all? It's Polska here. We are back with another video. Now today we're going to talk about how Sakura should be more involved within the story. Now I already see some comments, people being like, oh, she's a Naruto character, why would she be more involved in the story? But I feel like if you look at these recent chapters, right, she should definitely be involved. And I feel like these recent chapters have showed why she should be involved. I mean, one point is her daughter, another point is Sasuke, which we're going to get into today, but I do feel like she should be more involved within the story. And I'm not saying she has to play a big role within the story, right? I'm not saying that, but at least these next couple of chapters we need to know what Sakura has been doing and what she's been doing for this time skip, and why one, she hasn't gone after Sasuke. Now I don't think it's a bad thing that she's not gone after Sasuke, but I do think that should at least be touched on within these next couple of chapters too, because her daughter is one of the only few people that's not affected by her own appearance as well. And if you add all that in, and if you add the fact that, I mean, her abilities as well, it just makes her perfect for these next couple of chapters. But we're going to get into all that, so like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about here is her abilities, which I think are perfect counters for Otsutsuki's. You've got a super strength, you've got a healing abilities, right? As we all know, right, you can't use normal ninjutsu on Otsutsuki's. You have to use either, I guess, Otsutsuki level abilities, or you have to use your strength, and her abilities are perfect counters. Plus, if you add the fact that we've barely seen Sakura really do much within Boruto at all, right, which I'm going to get into as well. And also, if you add the fact that she is the most genjutsu resistant character within the story, right? I'm trying to think of anyone else. I can't think off the top of my head, but Sakura is definitely the most genjutsu resistant character. Why is she not more involved in the story? I think it makes no sense. She should be one of the first characters to at least be able to hold her doubts. Plus, if you add the fact that she's living with Sarada, who was not being affected at all, it makes no sense for her to at least not be at least at the level of Shikamaru and Amado, where she's questioning her own memories, right? Plus, if you add the fact that Sasuke left as well, why would Sasuke leave with a guy that killed Naruto, his best friend? And again, if you look at what she's really done in Boruto, she's really not done a lot. I mean, even the fight with the Kage, right, where Sasuke goes off with the rest of the Kage to go fight the Otsutsuki's, she's not involved. Now again, you could be like, oh, she's a medical ninja, why would she be involved? And that is a fair point, but how many times we're going to use the same point that she's a medical ninja and she shouldn't be involved? There has to be a certain point where she's able to display her abilities. And of course you have the light novels where they show you how good Sakura is, right? But one, not everyone's going to read the light novels, right? And two, we want to see, at least in a manga panel, at least on screen, we want to see Sakura actually doing something. And look, Naruto, we know she was messed up in Naruto, right? We know her character wasn't handled very well, so why not handle her well in Boruto? Again, I'm not saying she has to play a big part within the story, obviously, because the story is about Boruto and is about Boruto characters, but I feel like at least in these next couple of chapters, it is the perfect time to slot Sakura in there. And I forgot to mention, I have it written down here, the only other thing we really see her doing Boruto is when she has to fight that Shinju type, you know, he wants to be Itachi, he wants to be in the Akatsuki, you know, Orochimaru made guy. I forgot his name. What was his name again? Oh yeah, Shinju Uchiha. She fights him, but even then she does need Naruto and Sasuke's help, and she does well within that fight, right? I'm not denying that, but I'd at least like to see her do more, because we're forgetting she's one of the strongest people within Konoha right now. There's only a couple characters that are stronger than her, them being Boruto, Kawaki, Daemon, right? Ada kind of, but not really in terms of combat ability. So there's only a couple characters that are really stronger than Sarada right now. Sorry, I meant Sakura. But, you know, enough about the old stuff, enough about stuff we already know. I want to talk about some of the new stuff. And one glaring factor, which I mentioned earlier, was Sarada, her daughter, who was not affected by omniscience at all. Now, you can talk about the fact that Sasuke is a rogue ninja, and you probably think, well, why wouldn't she go after Sasuke? That is one reason. And I've heard that reason before. I can see why she wouldn't go after Sasuke, because again, she's running the hospital, which I know I just said we can't use the hospital as a reason, right? But I can see why she possibly wouldn't go after Sasuke, right? It's a 50-50. I can understand that, right? But her not at least being omniscience resistant is weird. And again, we don't know, she might be, but I feel like the fact that it's not being talked about yet is a bit of a problem. But again, this video might not hold up because we might get it in the next chapter. But anyway, I want to get into Sarada. Now, the first point I want to make about Sarada is Sarada's training, right? Obviously, Sasuke's gone, right? And we don't know where Kakashi is. So I don't know if there's really anyone to cheat Sarada about her MS abilities, right? Maybe Kakashi has been and we don't know, right? But let's just assume for this video, he probably hasn't, right? Because if we look at a theme of Boruto, Naruto characters have not really been doing much in the village, right? So I guess if we keep that theme up, he probably hasn't, right? So again, you have to think to yourself, how has Sarada got strong? Now, she can't heal like a mum. We've already seen that in part 1, which I don't mind, obviously, right? I think it's good to distinguish her from a mum. But one thing she can do like a mum is mold chakra in terms of building strength, kind of like Tsunade and Sakura used to do. We've seen that in part 1. Sarada at least was able to build chakra on somewhat of a level to be able to use the strength. We've seen it in the tuning exam where she knocks that girl out of the way. I can't remember her name, right? She wasn't really an important character, but she knocks that girl out of the way and beats that girl in like 10 seconds. And then you've got the training she was doing with Sakura where she was pretty good, you know, and you've seen her strength quite well. Obviously Sakura would have been holding back, right? Because it's her daughter. She would have killed her daughter if she tried at full power. But we see that she can at least mold her chakra and use it for amplifying her strength quite well. So maybe she would have built on that, I don't know, but at least we need to see something about Sarada. Now I don't know if it will be this early, we'll probably get it in later chapters, but I do think we need to know how Sarada has gotten so strong, because the fact that she was able to land a hit on a Shinju is very impressive, and a lot of people don't really talk about that, but it is very impressive, and we have to know, how does she get that strong? How does she get that reaction time? And she probably got it from Sakura, but I don't really know, because Sakura is pretty fast and she has got good reaction time now. So you have to think, where did she get it from? Again, like I mentioned before, when you mentioned Sarada as one of the only few people that is not affected by Omnipotent, this needs to be explained whether Sakura is or is not affected, right? Because realistically, if they say she's still affected, then I don't know. I just don't think that would be a good explanation. I feel like Sakura has to be one of the people that is not affected by it. And if you look at what Sarada's been doing with Shikamaru, basically screaming at him, right? Look, Boruto's not a bad guy. Now, you could make the argument that it took Shikamaru hearing it from Amado and really speaking to Boruto to break him out of it. I get that, but I feel like the fact that one, her husband went off with a guy that supposedly killed her best friend, right? And two, because her daughter would have been screaming at her about it for the last 3 years, I don't see it being a possibility that she's fully affected by it. She at least has to be questioning it a little bit. And Sakura, she's pretty smart. She's not Shikamaru and Amado smart, right? I do know that, but she's pretty smart. And I don't think she would just brush off Sarada like that, especially if Sarada tells that she's the one that told Sasuke to go with him in the first place, and she awoken her MS. And again, if you look at how you break out of omnipotence, right, there's one thing that I've seen that's pretty consistent is that you have to have a strong belief in something else. Shikamaru had a strong belief in his own mind because he's very smart. Plus, when you heard Amado talk about it, it really confirmed it for him. Amado, he believes in the science, right, because he's, you know, a scientist. They're very believers in the science. Of course, because he's seen his ninja equipment on Kawaki, he knew that no one else could have done it because there was very few people that could have got to the level of Amado with his science equipment, right? So he believed in his own science equipment enough to make the distinction that his memories had been changed. And if you look at Sasuke, he believed in his own daughter enough to go off with Boruto. So you're telling me Sasuke could believe in his daughter, which if you look at his characteristics, right, you'd probably think Sasuke would be the one to be like, look, Sarada, you're being silly, but he believed his daughter, and you're telling me Sakura can't. And again, if you go, well, that happened straight away, you're telling me Sarada didn't see Sakura straight away after, or when they all went back home. They would have had to see each other at some point, right? And you're telling me she wouldn't have been able to break her out. Now again, this video might all be debunked because we might get a couple chapters where Sakura is actually broken out of omnipotence. We don't know. We don't exactly know for sure, but the fact that it's not been mentioned yet does worry me. And again, like I said before, if Sasuke can believe his own daughter, Sakura definitely can. And a little side note to kind of end this video, if Ino can get screen time for her abilities, I think Sakura can as well. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I feel like the fact that Sarada is a daughter and Sarada is one of the few people that's not been affected, I feel like Sakura has to not be affected. I won't really get it if she's actually infected. I understand Shikamaru was and it took a while for him to be broken out. I understand that. But if you look at the fact that Sakura was with Sarada before the time skip, before Omnipotence had a chance to really take grasp on people. And again, I know with Shikamaru it starts to retake effect on you, I know that, but the fact that she would have been seeing Sarada every day, I really don't believe it would have been able to do that. I really don't. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I really don't. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below, though. Do you think Sakura should play a bigger part in the story? Or do you think, oh, because she's a Naruto character, she probably won't? Now, I'm not saying she has to be in every fight, guys, but she has to play somewhat of a part in these next couple of chapters. I think personally, I feel like she has to. Out of every other Naruto character, Sakura has to be number one. Really, I really do. And if you think about it, if Shikamaru does get taken out of the Hokage seat, could Sakura replace him? Who knows? But guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let me know if you think that Sakura should be more involved within the chapters. Thank you for watching. Peace, I'm out.